If you've ever looked around your messy room and thought, why can't I just do this, will myself to get up and clean it, then this video is for you. We're gonna break down what's going on into 6 parts. I understand the frustration of chasing achievement while being unfulfilled and empty because I've been there myself. My journey started with a dream to be an opera singer in New York, and so that's what I did. But I didn't realize that my ambitions were fueled by self-doubt, perfectionism, and deep-rooted fear. Overcoming these struggles is what led me to create the Intrinsic North Star, an online community and all-encompassing program that is built off of the tools and mindset shifts that changed my life. So let's get right into it with part 1. When I first moved to New York, I lived in an itty-bitty apartment with 4 other roommates, no common living area, but I did all of my personal work, studying, relaxing, sleeping in my bed. When it came time for me to actually get up and go and clean my space and take care of myself, I couldn't will myself to do it. The cycle of self-sabotage comes from many different roots, but shows up in the same way. It can come from ADHD, depression, trauma, narcissistic abuse, an unhealthy environment, which was the case for me. But regardless, the truth was the guilt was eating me alive. I wanted to do it, I knew I needed to do it, but I could not will myself to do it. And the thing is, most people don't talk about how emotional it can be to struggle with task initiation. And what I mean by that is the ability to actually start a task, to bridge that gap from I intend to do this thing and actually being able to execute that thing. But the thing is, it's not just about cleaning. It's fitness, relationships, self-care, side hustle work, normal work, everything. But the point here I'm trying to make is that it's not where it comes from that matters. It's the roots that then grow from whatever it is that made you the way that you are. The roots of guilt, shame, starting to feel like you're not worthy as a person and not worthy of anything, really. It's the panic of realizing someone wants to come over and the whole week of chores never got done. It's the dread of realizing you're actively procrastinating and you still don't do anything. You might look at the dishes and think, they never stop. I never keep my kitchen clean the way that I want to. And what's funny about that is, when it comes to other people, you usually assume that they're keeping on top of their space and they're doing everything and they have this magic solution that you just don't have. But another piece here that you could be forgetting is that you tend to give them a lot of grace when they don't show up well. Grace that you don't give yourself. And part of that is because a lot of us have been taught that a clean space means discipline, control, self-worth, being worthy of a reward. The messaging is hard to ignore when it's been ingrained in us from a childhood that prioritized very high standards. Ironically, it can also happen from a childhood where high standards weren't encouraged or any standards at all. These two things can lead to the same outcome. So when you can't get there, when you can't overcome this thing that seemingly everyone else can, it's not just that you missed a task. It feels like you're failing at being an adult. But this isn't about willpower. It's about how your brain processes overwhelm and decisions. Part 2 is diving into executive dysfunction, one of the most misunderstood mental blocks. It's not just forgetfulness or procrastination. It's dealing with things like organizing, planning, making to-do lists, or maybe you overplan to compensate, switching between activities, actually getting started and not just thinking about starting. When you want to clean but can't physically get up, or you spend 2 hours thinking of the thing that you want to do, that's not laziness. If it was laziness, you wouldn't want to do it, you wouldn't care, you wouldn't think that it's important, you would acknowledge that someone else may think it's important, but you're like, I don't care. That's not what this is. I think you know that. That's executive dysfunction. And I'm sorry that you thought otherwise, and that people may have used that against you as a way to put an identity on you that isn't real, and that's hurtful. But the good news is that as soon as we start to become aware of it, we can actually do something about it. Sometimes our brains rebel against the concept of authority because that's what we are. We're the adults in the scenario. But sometimes the misunderstood child in us fights back due to that narcissistic abuse or trauma. Oftentimes it's as simple as, I don't know where to begin. There's too many options. I want to do this, but I don't know how to get started. So without even realizing it, these are coping mechanisms that we've adopted to feel safe in our own skin. The perfectionism, the procrastination, the all or nothing thinking, the analysis paralysis. Like I could go on with a whole list of symptoms and things you probably didn't even know had words for, but that's what they are. So part 3 is specifically going to focus on that perfectionism. If I can't do it perfectly, then it's not worth doing at all. Perfectionism isn't just about being a high achieving student or a high achieving employee. It's self-sabotage literally designed to limit you to keep you safe. You might tell yourself, I'm gonna clean the whole apartment this weekend. Now's the time, like I'm gonna do it. And the weekend comes and you're tired, you're exhausted, you're too overwhelmed to start, and you do nothing. Then comes the guilt, the shame spiral, the need to make up for it, the I should be able to do it mentality that's gotten you to where you are in the first place. Now the bar is even higher. You feel like a failure, and all of that pressure makes starting even harder. And don't forget all or nothing thinking, which is another one of those nasty symptoms that says if you can't clean the entire house, then don't bother starting. It's similar to perfectionism, but there's slight discrepancies that you only understand if you struggle with this. Do you know how much you could get done if you only cleaned in a 5-minute pocket of time every once in a while versus waiting to clean your entire house once a month, or more realistically, once a quarter? But that's just not a flip that we can switch on. For all or nothing thinkers, and I have been one my entire life, we function in extremes. We are only worthy if we fulfill all of our goals. We could have done 19 out of 20 items on a to-do list, but because that one was not completed, then the to-do list was a waste of time. We didn't do anything worthwhile. We are a waste of time. So now part 4, kind of the elephant in the room, the analysis paralysis aspect. It's not knowing what to do, it's where to begin. That's what stems a lot of this overwhelm. It's, do I start with the laundry or the kitchen? Do I vacuum first or wipe the counters? What if I start one thing and forget something else? And I was supposed to be doing that first, but this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You've heard the script before. There was a period of my life where I did this so much, and it really harmed me in every way. Not even just my productivity, but my mental health as a whole. I was trying to make the correct plan so that I could anticipate any type of shortcoming. I would spend hours, usually at night, revenge bedtime procrastination, if you've heard of that, which we can dive into that another time. But I would spend hours planning my day to account for everything that could derail me. Sleep, eating, needing a break, even though who needs a break, right? All of those things. But I was accounting for a version of myself that didn't exist. I was desperate to be approved by external validation. So when the day came and I had the time to do all those things, my mental energy, my bandwidth didn't reflect that. I hadn't mentally prepared myself for making those decisions and following through on those ideas. So it's not a time problem. It's not a motivation problem. It's a decision-making problem, and it can be very debilitating. So what helps with that is clarity. One next step, not an entire plan. Just a simple, low-pressure action. Pick up the trash bag. Press play on the music. Put 1 cup in the sink. Now I know how overwhelming the perfectionism cycle can be. As ironic as we're discussing overwhelm, attempting to work through it is also overwhelming. So that's why I've made something to help you along the way. It's called the 5-Day Action Plan, and it's designed to help you take small, measurable actions toward your goals. The goal here is to take away the pressure to be perfect. This guide will take you through 5 days where you'll learn to break down these bigger things into smaller steps so that you can actually start making progress and seeing results. If you want to make that real progress without being stuck or overwhelmed for potentially the first time, comment action plan and I'll send it to you right away. So part 5 is the shame loop, probably one of the most devastating emotions associated with this experience. You tell yourself, I'll do it tonight, but then tonight comes and you're just as tired. You say, tomorrow morning I'll wake up and clean, but tomorrow morning comes, and even if you wake up on time, the weight is still there. We rely on a version of ourselves that doesn't exist, the one with all the clarity, all the answers, all the motivation, things we don't have. Imagine if winter was over in just one night. Outside, all the flowers are in bloom, the weather has changed, it's slightly windy, it's beautiful outside, but in one night, you know what would happen? Our bodies would go haywire. Our nervous systems would be a wreck. That's what you're expecting when you make all these productive, immaculate plans for tomorrow. Tomorrow will come, but it's not going to be the perfect version of tomorrow that you crave. That takes a long time of crafting a foundation of self-trust to move forward. And the worst part is when that version of us doesn't show up, we feel like we failed again. It's a version of yourself that you haven't even grown into yet. So that is the loop that keeps you stuck. That is the shame that is keeping you rooted and unable to let yourself move forward. It's called self-sabotage for a reason. There's nothing stopping you from actually making small steps forward. They're just not the steps that you want. So the way out is not to do it all. And I know you're sick of hearing this, but it's the truth. One tiny step at a time, to begin the thaw from winter to spring, even though you want it to happen all at once. I know how painful it is and how much you just want to be better, but stick with me. We'll get you there. Part 6 is how to start when you're frozen, how to begin that thaw. You don't need inspiration, you need momentum. So put a single dish into the dishwasher, pick up one sock and put it in the hamper. Lower the bar, make the goal so small it feels silly. I want you to tell yourself you don't have to finish anything, you just have to start. And if a piece of you is really craving that external direction, that external pressure that we're trying to learn to live without, I'm telling you, just start. Don't worry about finishing it. I know how scary it is to step outside of what you know, the things that are predictable, even if they make you feel awful, but release all expectations of it. Every piece of you that's screaming, it has to go this way, release it. Let it breathe. Say, okay, I hear you. Let's try it this way for once. A big thing for me was separating the input from the output. With what I said with all or nothing thinking and my struggle with the to-do list, I started measuring my success based on the quality of effort I put in. So let's say I had 30% energy to give that day left after everything else I had to do. That's my 100%. So then I take that 100% and I put it into 5 minutes of cleaning. If I did that to the best of my ability, that's success. What old me would have done is measure the success based on how clean that thing was, or even by doing an hour of cleaning and not caring how clean it was. Instead of an output, I transitioned to focusing on the input of the work itself. And the end result may not be what you want, because why didn't you just clean the kitchen if you started? But you made a new step forward by valuing your effort, not unrealistic standards. Then, if you feel up to it, you can keep cleaning, by all means. But if you don't, which you probably won't if you're on a 30% day, you did what you needed to do, you did what you said you were going to do, and you've made a tiny step forward in establishing that self-trust. Starting does not have to feel good. It just has to feel safe enough to try. If you've been blaming yourself lately, I hope that this gives you at least the words to articulate what it is you're experiencing, so then you are empowered to take the next step toward healing. And please hear me when I say you are not lazy, you are not broken. Your brain works in a different way due to things you cannot control, like abuse, trauma, ADHD, something of the sort. But roots grew from that we can learn to understand and learn to function within. You can get there and you don't have to do it perfectly. And if you're serious about really making a change and finally drawing that line in the sands, then I want to invite you into something really special and close to my heart. I mentioned earlier that I built the Intrinsic North Star, which is an all-encompassing online platform and program and community designed to guide people through this process and to take out the guesswork. A discovery call is your opportunity to assess if this is what you need to start taking action and stop stewing in that painful overwhelm. I know you've tried everything under the sun already, which is why this is built with the love and dedication of someone who has walked and overcome the same path that you're on. So if you're ready to stop letting perfectionism hold you back and take that first real step toward change, then click the link in the description to book your discovery call. I'm always in your corner, and stay in this corner of the internet as long as you need.